important stuff put together very carefully by a dedicated team. Okay, so thank you once again for joining us at our show and tell for our project Multifunctional Devices, Out with the Old, In with the New. For those who are just joining, this is being recorded. If you don't want to appear, please mute yourself, turn your video off, and use the chat to communicate. Paul, I haven't got a request to let anybody in. When I get the request, I will click the accept button. Moving on, this is the team for those of you who are new. There's myself, who's the delivery manager. I'll let Ollie and Jackie introduce themselves.
Hi folks, so I'm Ollie Parish and I'm the overall program lead for what's called the Modern Tools for Work program, which this forms part of. You on mute, Jackie?
You're on mute, love, yeah.
Hi, I'm Jackie Fagan. I'm the Delivery Support Officer working on the MFD project.
Great. So the other members of the team who can't join us today because it is deployment week, which you'll hear all about in a moment, is Arfan, who is going to be who is the fleet manager working with the print room team, Tony Gallagher, who's the product owner, again from print room, and then Alexi Turin, who's the technical architect. And with that and their apologies, I'm going to pass you over to Ollie so that you can get excited about why they're not here.
Hi folks, I'm actually having some technical issues this morning. I might turn off my camera if it looks like my connection isn't very good, but the other problem I'm having is I can't get my headphones to work, and I've got some builders in my house who are banging away, so I'm hoping you're not hearing the background noise. So yeah, as Emma said, it's an exciting week for the project. So we've got a further 19 devices coming in across the core campus and Millfields. And this will complete the rollout to those sites. We've already had a number of devices rolled out earlier in September to those locations. So it will take place pretty much throughout the whole week. So much of the project team are on the site working with Canon engineers to complete that rollout. We have some reminder communications go out in the staff headlines tomorrow to make sure that people know how to use the devices if they're already working in the office or when they return to working in the office. There's still kind of a bit of uncertainty around some of the locations in terms of the exact plans for them reopening, but we've still just gone ahead and delivered to the devices to the locations that they're intended for. If it kind of turns out that other buildings end up opening more quickly and there's a need to move devices around, then we're absolutely lit to do that. So that's it in terms of kind of the new shiny things that are coming in this week, and I'll hand over to Emma to talk about the other things that excite us.
Yes, so one of the other things that excites us is getting rid of those old workhorse, slightly decrepit Xerox machines. We've known them, we've loved them when they worked, we hated them because we didn't, and now we're finally sending them back to Xerox. So we're down to our last 56 devices from across the core campus, and we're going to be rounding them up for return on the 15th and 16th of October. 56 devices is no small feat, so do expect to see members of the team around the core campus buildings wheeling devices around and generally preparing them to be sent off to the printer graveyard. We will be around basically, so we're going to be quite visible, and I know the temptation when you see us is to grab us and ask us lots of exciting questions about your new Canon devices, but could I ask you to please just interrogate the intranet first before you grab one of us, because we've got a lot of stuff to be getting on with on site, and there is lots and lots of information on the intranet that we've put together. Of course, if you've checked the intranet and you still have a problem, you're not sure who to talk to, absolutely grab one of us, but please do try and make the intranet your first port of call for all questions. Then I've stolen Arfan's wonderful slide from last week because they are you will know if you've been in our show and tells before that we've had a constant problem with data. The data that we've got is inconsistent, and we sometimes find we go to pick up a Xerox machine from somewhere and there's 3 of them or there's none of them. So if you see a Xerox machine lurking in a cupboard under some boxes or wherever you think it is and you're not sure we know about it, please let us know. You can get in touch with the team at mfds@hackney.gov.uk, and please do let us know if you see any of these Xerox devices hanging around somewhere. Next, I'm handing over to Jackie for an update on how we're doing with what we're calling our satellite sites.
Okay, so we've agreed the device allocation for 16 of the sites, and we'll be raising the order for these shortly. We also have a device proposal for a further 13 sites, which we'll be sharing with the service contacts for review and comment. There are 15 sites where we need to visit to gather more information. There are 12 sites where we need to have further discussion with the service contact to agree the right provision for the service. We also don't know the open and closed status for some sites. So if you've received a message from the team asking you to confirm that, could you please let us know? And over to you, Emma.
Thank you, Jackie. So I just wanted to go over quickly some of the learnings that we've had as a team from the core campus rollout and some things that we're going to do differently for the satellite sites. So the first thing that we learned over the core campus rollout is that actually the collection of those Xerox devices hasn't been visible enough. It hasn't been clear when you're going to see the team, when the devices are going to be removed, when you can expect changes. So we've taken on board that hasn't been communicated clearly enough, and we're making efforts to change that now with the satellite sites. We've also decided that rather than doing kind of a big bang approach like we did with the core campus, where we planned out all of the devices, knew exactly where everything was going, and then did one big order, for the satellite sites, as Jackie's already inferred, we're approaching it in a order it as it's ready style approach. So we're not just going to do one big order. We're going to get some sites ready, get them agreed, get the order in, and then continue in parallel working with the sites that maybe have slightly more complex requirements or we need a bit more information on, and we can work with them in parallel while we're still progressing those sites that have definite requirements and that we can get devices into as soon as possible. I've already mentioned that our lack of data is our constant enemy, but over the core campus, I think we spent a bit too much time trying to find and fix that data rather than focusing on solving the problem that poor data was giving us. So for the satellite sites, we're definitely going to spend less time trying to find and fix that data and more time defining the problem that data is giving us so that we can overcome the problem rather than trying to fix the source of the problem. Finally, just from our own kind of internal project ways of working, we use Trello to organize ourselves. And on some of the cards, we noticed it was getting a bit confusing because you had to read all the comments to really know where we were in the process that this card was tracking. So we're going to be using checklists a lot more in those cards so that we get a much more at a glance feeling of where we are on the progress of that card without having to read all those comments. So I'm going to hand over to Ollie now, I think. Yes.
Hello. Yes, I'm just going to touch on some kind of emerging new requirements. So I think we've kind of said a couple of times during this session about how the new Canon solution is designed to give us flexibility, and that's kind of, at the time, that was more in the context of the ability to be able to flex up or flex down in terms of the number of printers or MFDs. As the printing needs across the organization changes, but also the Canon solution is designed to give us some flexibility around accommodating new types of printing and copying and scanning needs. And as some services are starting to kind of reopen following lockdown, we're starting to see some of these new needs come through. So just kind of a couple of the examples of areas of work that we're focused on at the moment. One is around libraries. So libraries have started to reopen. They're starting now to offer public IT access in libraries. So this is where people can, member of the public can go into a library and work on a computer. That's a really good thing, and as part of that, they've upgraded the devices to be Chrome boxes instead of the old battered PCs that used to be in place. So again, that's a good thing. But it is causing us some complications, because it means that we're having to now look at how we're going to manage the printing from those devices to the Canon machines. And there are solutions. It just means we need to work through the different options and identify what the best solution is, both in terms of a kind of an immediate term solution, and then what's the best thing for the long term. And another example, which is kind of similar, is around the Tomlinson Centre. So the Tomlinson Centre reopened this week, which is fantastic. So they're starting to run events there again. There's always been a need for people who hold events in that centre to be able to print at times, and in the past that's been done through the staff who are based in the office. So someone would pop down to the staff office and ask them to run off some prints for them. And as they're keen to try and minimise the contact between staff and customers, and handing kind of paper back and forth isn't always a good thing in the current time, they're keen to start to explore an alternative solution where we can enable effectively guest self-service printing within the Tomlinson Centre. And again, there are options for that. We just need to kind of work through some of the different options and make a decision on what one's the right one for the Tomlinson Centre. So that's just a kind of flavour of some new things that come up and face us, given this kind of changing world that we're operating in at the moment. I think it's over to Emma next.
It is. It's back to me to do loads of talking today, because the rest of the team's all busy. So just a few other bits and pieces to let you know that we've been busy doing over the past couple of weeks, but they don't get a slide to themselves. If you were in the show and tell last week, you will remember that we did a demo of how to register yourself. And in that demo, we gave a bit of a warning that it's going to tell you the website's not safe, but it is. It really is. Well, we fixed the problem that told you that the website wasn't safe. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. There will be no scary message. We also, this sprint saved a device from getting put into a skip, which is really good. As part of our kind of working out where devices were and everything, one of the responses that we got was, oh yeah, no, new tenants are moving into this next week. We were going to put it in the skip. And we went, no, please don't. We'll find somebody to come and fetch it. So we saved a device. Happy days. And finally, a mystery device had kind of upped and moved itself from one place to another. So this is another example of our data. It said it was in Woodbury Downs, I think, wasn't it, Jackie? But there was no data on it. And then the lovely contact at Woodbury Downs said, no, definitely not here. So off we went hunting for this printer, and we found it in registrars. Don't know how that happened, but we found it. So hooray. So finally, we're going to wrap up by letting you know what's up next. As Jackie mentioned, we're getting the order for those first devices for satellite sites in with our colleagues at Canon. So that's with them now, and they're looking at what devices are best to fulfill our needs in those areas, and they will be getting those device specifications over to us so that we can just triple check that they are going to do everything that our colleagues need them to. We also need to organise and start completing 15 site visits. So that's going to be the whole team that needs to go out and help with that, because Arfan is one man and he's not Superman, so he can't zip through the air and visit all of those sites in a week himself. So we're all going to be pitching in with that. So you might see us mobilising around Hackney. And then finally, we're going to design and distribute signage for buildings. This is something that we've been saying we need to do for quite a few weeks in this project now. And it's been deprioritized by many other things. And it's finally now at the top of the list. So when you come into buildings, you should be seeing nice posters about the new devices, how to use them, where to go for help, etc. So that is what is up next for us. And that brings us to the end. So as I mentioned before, we've got lots of information on the intranet, which you can find at intranet.hackney.gov.uk/print. If you need to contact us for anything else, please get in touch at mfds.hackney.gov.uk. But does anybody have any questions about the show and tell today? Oh, Brian, I see that you put one in the chat, actually. Will the Xeroxes be sustainably disposed of? So they go back to Xerox, and I believe some of them will be refurbished and put back out again. And I have to be honest, I'm not sure what's going to happen with the rest of them. It is Xeroxes, unfortunately. We only ever rented them, and what they do with them, I'm really not sure. Any other questions about the show and tell today, the project in general? Anybody want to tell us how brilliant we are and what good job we're doing? Yes, good. Thank you. Thumbs up like that.
Yeah, just a quick one, Emma. Are we still on for the 8th and 9th for Reading Lane?
Oh, yes, we are, Paul.
Good. I see Pamela's on the call, so she'll be delighted for that.
Yes, they are.
I'm always delighted.
Yeah, so today I believe it's the Annex and the HSC getting their final devices. Tomorrow I think is Millfields and somewhere else, and then it's Reading Lane. Yeah, so it's all cross fingers, touch wood, it's all going well.
Emma, quick question. Annex, that includes corporate business support, doesn't it?
It sure does.
They will be very, very pleased.
It brings me great joy to know that all of these Canon devices are bringing people such joy. They bring me joy. Lovely. I think that is it then, guys. Thank you very much for your attention. We'll be sharing the recording and the slide deck for you afterwards via all the normal channels, Google Currents, all that kind of stuff. And yes, thank you very much. Have a lovely day.
Thanks, everyone.